Step one of any designing that I do always starts with making a cup of tea. To pick a design, I consulted with my resident expert on problems and we did some spitballing together. Dad and I threw around some good ideas and some pretty bad ones, many of which I had to rule out due to being cut off from a lot of resources. And I was pretty disappointed that I couldn't make something that he could benefit from due to my lockdown in Melbourne. So we had to look at what I had on hand and whose days I could brighten from here. One of Dad's suggestions was to make a grocery winch for people living in multiple story buildings like myself. I had to go and consider the situation. Is a winch a practical solution to this problem? I do have great balcony access in the common areas of my house, and we have some pretty solid anchor points as well. Let's understand the problem in full first. If I'm Cameron living on the top floor of the building who orders a very large amount of Uber Eats, I have to walk down 3 flights of stairs and then come all the way back up again. So that's 6 flights of stairs in total, and Cameron's cardio isn't great. I went and did some looking at reference material of previous winches that exist, most of which have pulley systems. The first prototype was inspired by all the movies with princesses tying bed sheets together and they're trapped in towers. The problem that I found is that I only own 1 set of sheets, and today was washing day. So I used Simon's. Complete success. Had a quick lunch break, around which time Simon came downstairs and told me off for using his sheets. Prototype number 2, towels. Total failure. We lose all length in the knots and all security. I wouldn't want anyone climbing out of this tower that way. This isn't gonna work. Well. It was total failure. So back to the drawing board. I went around collecting everything rope-like in my household so that it could plausibly work. Really pooled my resources.
Ooh.
This is around the time I made a very important discovery, my lab coat. So here's everything I could find. I ruled out electrical cables despite their length, but everything else rope-like was pretty fair game. I have tied some very good knots on my shoelaces, so I lost my patience with them quite quickly and gave up. I tied all of my belts together and assembled prototype number 3.
Yeah, she'll be fine.
Which worked successfully with the shopping bag, the backpack, and held with some fun stretching noises in the picnic basket. The main issue to the design, much like what I encountered with my shoelaces, is that I wear my belts quite often, so they'd be an unsustainable material for the design as I'd need to take it apart and reassemble it often. I needed materials that I won't miss, and probably that are more weather resistant as well. I don't want my belts out in the rain, or I don't want this design sitting out attached to the balcony during bad weather anyway. So I found the only piece of rope in the household and I tied it to a bunch of hockey straps, which didn't make it long enough to actually hit the ground. But that's a good thing if we're lowering something down and we don't want it to hit the ground if we lose grip of the pulley. Like possibly this container of water and these slightly open bottles of fizzy water that leaked through my bag when we dropped them the first time. Otherwise, prototype number 4 was a complete success with all 3 baskets.
We did it! Did you order ball?
The final challenge, as pointed out by Simon, is that everyone in this house eats a heap of pizza. So how are we going to fit a pizza box into any of these options?
Thank you to our physics and engineering consultant.
Construction of a flat panel basket that will hold pizza and also not tip when it contacts the walls.
Did someone order pizza?
We tested its effectiveness with an empty pizza box sourced from the bin that was a complete success.
Yes. The water in Coburg is poisonous. I will definitely exchange pizza for water.
So prototype 5 was ready for field testing. Ooh. The Domino's guy is a true hero. The suspense was real, the dinner was in danger, the payoff was worth it. I made a difference to my housemates, to my stomach, and to the Domino's man. Solid day, 10 out of 10.
Oh my gosh, thank you so much.
The two things that worked both
Fantastic.
very well within this challenge and that were also challenging are exactly the same in both cases. Number one being that my restrictions limited my options. Number two being working with others. Restrictions limiting my options forced me to be more creative and forced me to make a decisive choice of what project we were going to develop. Otherwise, I would have spent an entire day just sitting there in fantasy brainstorming all these different things. Working with others, it was both challenging and fantastic because everyone got to pitch in and had a lot of fun and had some interesting and important things to contribute, but also people went and got groceries in the middle of the day, so we had to put off filming for a while everyone was sort of in and out and around the place. So that delayed things a little bit. Pizza!